Hector's house. Bedside book? Hector bakes a cake. One day, when Hector came in from working in the garden, he found his housekeeper Zaza sneezing into a handkerchief. "Goodness, Zaza, have you got a cold?" he asked anxiously as he looked at her white face and red nose. "Yes, I feel quite ill," replied poor Zaza, wiping her nose once again. "Your lunch is in the oven, Mr. Hector, but I really don't think that I shall be able to make the tea. My cold seems to be getting much worse." "Never mind about the tea. I can see to all that," said Hector confidently. "You must go to bed at once, Zaza. Leave everything to me. I shall manage splendidly." "But Mr. Hector," began Zaza weakly, but an enormous sneeze stopped her from finishing the sentence, and Hector took her by the arm and guided her gently upstairs. "Now you must stay in bed until you are quite better," he announced firmly. "While you are ill, I will wait on you. You shall have tea in bed on a tray when you have had a little nap." "No, you must ask Kiki to get the tea for us," murmured Zaza softly as she climbed into bed. But Hector was already running downstairs for his lunch and did not hear, or at least, being Hector, pretended that he did not hear. "I can keep house just as well as Kiki and Zaza," he mused aloud as he ate his lunch. "Really, there is nothing to it, provided, of course, that one has a method. I know that Zaza never usually allows me in her kitchen, but this time it is different. I shall be able to do exactly as I please in the kitchen. Why, I might even bake a cake." To make a cake himself had always been Hector's ambition, but Zaza had always refused to let him do this. "You will only make a mess in my kitchen and waste good food," she always said whenever Hector asked her. "Leave the cooking to Kiki and me, Mr. Hector. Go and tidy the garden instead." But now Zaza was safely in bed, and Hector had just seen his neighbor, Mrs. Kiki Frog, going down the path on her way to the shops. "There was nobody to say no, Mr. Hector, this time. But first of all, I will wash the dishes," said Hector to himself. He washed them all carefully and stood them on a rack to drain. But he was so busy thinking about the cake he was going to bake that he let the last one slip through his fingers. It dropped with a loud crash onto the floor and broke into several pieces. "Oh dear, whatever will Zaza say?" cried Hector in dismay. "That was one of our best plates." He listened anxiously, with his head on one side, to hear if Zaza was about to call and ask about the crash. But luckily for Hector, Zaza had fallen fast asleep and was dreaming sweetly, oblivious of the noise in the kitchen below. So Hector swept up the pieces and threw them away. "I'll try to match it up when I go shopping tomorrow," he thought. He washed his hands and put on one of Zaza's aprons. Then he got down Zaza's large book of recipes from the shelf. "Goodness, what a lot of cakes there are to bake," cried Hector in bewilderment as he turned over the pages of the book. "Chocolate cake, ginger cake, birthday cake, Christmas cake." Suddenly he stopped as he saw a recipe written in Zaza's own handwriting. "Mr. Hector's favorite cake," it said. "That's the one I shall make," Hector cried triumphantly. "Now let me see. What do I do first? Ah, yes, heat the oven." He turned on the switch and chuckled to himself. Well, that was easy enough. Next, he carefully got out of the kitchen cupboard all the ingredients needed to make the cake. He ticked them off on his paws as he weighed them out on Zaza's scales. Sugar, butter, flour, eggs, fruit, and half a teaspoonful of baking powder, he said. "Ah, yes, I remember now. Zaza told me the baking powder is to make the cake rise in the oven so that it will taste nice and light and lovely. He prepared his cake tin, and then, following the instructions in the recipe carefully, he started to make the cake. He creamed together the butter and sugar, added the sieved flour and baking powder with the eggs, and was just going to add the fruit when he stopped. "It seems a very small amount of baking powder to put in a cake," he mused aloud, "and I do want it to be a lovely light cake. I think I will put the whole tin of baking powder. Then I will be sure it will be a lovely cake." He was just about to tip the entire contents of the tin into the cake mixture when a sentence at the top of the recipe caught his eye. "Enlarge is to wait for it to be cooked. Nothing can possibly go wrong. Really, I don't know why Zaza makes all this fuss about baking a cake. It is quite easy." He licked the wooden spoon, which still had a little of the cake mixture on it. He smiled happily to himself. "If my cake tastes lovely before it is cooked, it will be really delicious when it comes out of the oven," he said to himself. "And won't Zaza be surprised when she sees it?" He scraped the rest of the cake mixture out of the bowl and ate it. Then he tidied up the kitchen. "I can start getting the tea ready now," he thought. "The cake should be ready by the time I have prepared the tray." He cut some dainty sandwiches and put them on a pretty plate. Then he found a tiny vase and filled it with pansies. Then he looked in the biscuit tin and found some of Zaza's favorite honey crunch and put some of these letters Zaza had written. "Always follow the instructions exactly." Hector hesitated for a moment. What should he do? And then, as usual, he decided that he knew best, and a moment later, he was stirring the mixture vigorously to mix in the baking powder well. He added the fruit, and after one good stir for luck, he transferred it to the cake tin. He put the cake in the oven and gave a little sigh of satisfaction. "Well, that's that," he murmured complacently. "All I have to do now with the sandwiches and flowers on a gay blue tray. I will just see how my cake is baking," thought Hector when he had finished. He opened the oven door, and what a mess! The cake had overflowed out of the tin all over the floor and the roof of the oven. It was only half cooked, and the mixture was still spreading. "Oh, goodness gracious me," gasped Hector, feeling very foolish indeed. "All the baking powder must have made the mixture spread too much. Whatever shall I do now? There will be no cake for tea, and Zaza will be so cross when she sees how dirty I have made the oven." "Cheer up, Mr. Hector," called a voice. Hector looked up and saw Kiki laughing at him through the window. "I see that one of your ideas has gone wrong again. Oh, Mr. Hector, when will you learn that you do not always know best?" Hector hung his head in shame. "Zaza has a cold, and so I thought that I would make a cake for tea," he confessed. "But I put too much baking powder in, and the mixture spread all over the oven." "So I see," chuckled Kiki. "Zaza was right when she warned you never to make a cake. I am so sorry that she is ill. But look, I have been baking too." And she produced a plate of lovely cakes. There were some like tiny butterflies. There were chocolate cakes and currant buns, and Kiki had iced 2 little cakes with white icing and piped Zaza and Hector on the top in rich pink cream. "Oh, Kiki, those look delicious," cried Hector in delight. "Much better than mine," he added ruefully. "Well, of course, I always follow the recipe very carefully," replied Kiki, with a twinkle in her eyes. Then, because she was a tender-hearted little frog, and rather fond of Hector in spite of his pompous manner, she said gently, "But I will soon clear up this mess for you, and clean up the oven. Zaza need never know about your cake-making. It shall be a little secret between you and I." "Thank you, Kiki. You are kind," said Hector gratefully. "Please stay to tea with me. There is plenty of food, and there is a small table in Zaza's bedroom. We can have tea upstairs with her. I will make her some blackcurrant cordial for her cold if you will start to tidy up here. Soon the kitchen was all neat and tidy again. Then Hector carried the tray, with 3 cups and saucers and plates, carefully up the stairs. Kiki walked behind with a jug of hot cordial. "What a lovely surprise," cried Zaza as they walked in. "I have had a lovely long sleep and my cold is much better. What a delicious-looking tea, especially the cakes. I suppose you made them, Kiki?" Kiki nodded, but added, "Mr. Hector made the sandwiches and the cordial and arranged the tray." "That was clever of you, Mr. Hector," smiled Zaza. "And the little posy of flowers is lovely. I think that, as you have managed so well in the kitchen today, when I get up again, I will let you try and make a cake. I know how much you would like to bake. You are always telling me you could make one far better than either Kiki or I." "Oh no, thank you, Zaza," cried Hector hastily. "I prefer to leave all the cooking to you in future." Zaza looked very puzzled at this, especially when Kiki burst out laughing, but she decided that Hector was just being contrary as usual, so she just sat back and contentedly sipped her drink. And Hector, as he selected a sandwich, promised himself that he would not cook again for a long, long time.